So the title of this video is Why Men Deeply Desire Women Who Do This. And it has nothing to do with the bedroom, has nothing to do with sex. They really need, did you hear me say need women to do this? Now, I want to start off by saying, isn't it kind of sad that most dating advice is centered around how women must change or conform to men? Whether it's the red pill community or even those of us in the dating sphere that helps men helping women to attract their ideal partner, a lot of it might seem like women must do all the changing to attract a man. Where's a man's part in this? What's a man's responsibility in the relationship? I think we have this patriarchal society it's brought down from, from God, if you will, that men are the leaders of the relationship and a woman is supposed to submit to a man. And first off, I think that's crock. If anyone that does believe that and anyone subscribes to that, look, you are more than welcome and entitled to the what I call one up, one down type of relationship. But I believe relationships are better served as a two-lane street. So why is it so much advice is geared towards women in the dating realm? It's because women consume 10 times more content in this arena than men do. If you go to any bookstore, any of the books on my shelf, most of the books on the shelf behind me, I would say probably have been purchased by women tenfold over than men, tenfold over men. Now, that's not to say men don't seek help. Particularly the men that don't have confidence will go out and seek advice on how to build confidence so they can meet women. That's where they spend most of their time, or how to make money so they can meet women. So it's either centered around how to make money so they can meet women or how to have the confidence to meet a woman in real life. That's where most of the advice is centered that men listen to. Women, on the other hand, buy books are Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man, Attached by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller, or Getting the Love You Want by Harville Hendricks and Helen Hunt, or any of the Barbara DeAngelis books, or The Queen's Code by Alison Armstrong. Women consume far more information centered around relationships, probably including the Gottmans. I forgot to include them as well. So what is it that men need from women? What do men deeply desire women to do? This goes outside of the bedroom. Well, what I'm going to tell you what it is right now. We need you to be knowledgeable. We need you to be knowledgeable. And what I mean to say is you need to understand the mechanics to a healthy, happy relationship. Number one, there's going to be two parts to this conversation. You need to understand the mechanics to a healthy, happy relationship. Why? It's because most guys in midlife, they're winging it. They're rather clueless. I know we've been indoctrinated that men are the provider protectors and the women are the nurturers, and all you need to be is with a man who's a provider protector. Well, certainly a lot of men are good at that. And yet all of those men are going through a divorce because they're missing this element that I'm about to share in a moment. They're missing this crucial element to make for a successful relationship. And guess what? These men on a subconscious level are craving it. They are craving it. And why is it going to be a woman to do this? Because believe it or not, his mother didn't do it for him. His mother wasn't an active participant in this one crucial factor that every man needs to really have a successful relationship. And that is vulnerability. Yeah, that's right. Most men struggle with being vulnerable. Most men are fearful of sharing their insecurity and their fears because we have been taught, we have been conditioned our entire lives to stuff your emotions, keep your emotions to yourself. To be a man means to be violent, like out on the football field or on the hockey rink or something like that. That masculinity is synonymous with violence. That's what we were conditioned. Sadly, you ladies were conditioned a completely different way. You were sadly conditioned in the sense that your true value was based on your looks. You're even told this in the dating realm, that men are visual creatures. and that men, all they care about looks. And women oftentimes are being conditioned that all man's value is money. This is the kind of noise and the rhetoric we're hearing out there. And it's no wonder it's a clusterfuck out there. So what do we need you to do? First, we need you to be knowledgeable. We need you to understand the mechanics of a healthy, happy relationship, because most men aren't purchasing these books. However, there's something I'm going to share with you in a second. So for example, for those that are in the early stage of dating, now this is probably geared to those that are still in baby making years, but even there's a great amount of content. This book called 8 Dates by Doctors John and Julie Gottman. There's a link below to get all the books I recommend under Jonathan Recommend Books. Okay. And for those that are in a seasoned relationship, even though the title says the 7 principles for making a marriage work, just take out the word marriage and replace it with relationships. John Gottman. Okay. Why do I want you to gain this knowledge? Because I'm encouraging you all to impart this knowledge onto men. See, ladies, I'm going to tell you a little secret. It's not really a secret. I've been blasting this on my channel for a long time. Men actually are trainable. Men are trainable. In fact, all of the women, okay, not all, most of the women who followed my advice by introducing this type of conversations early on before the penis ever goes inside the vagina seem to, now they're rejecting a lot of men. Okay. A lot of men don't want to be vulnerable. They're incapable of being vulnerable. They are emotionally constipated. Here's the thing. There are some men that slip through the cracks. And when a woman introduces this knowledge to a man, it opens up his vulnerability. And you see, a true success in a relationship is when two people can be vulnerable with one another, when they can actually connect at an emotionally intimate space in their lives, right from the heart. So you see, believe it or not, as much as it might frustrate you that you think you're doing all the work, guess what? There are a lot of men out there that are slipping through the cracks. And what I mean to say is, well, let me rewind for a second. Okay, another thing you have to do, and again, this is outside of the bedroom, you have to choose better. You have to choose better. Many of you are choosing men who are only capable of transactional relationships. And what a transactional relationship is, I pay your bills, you give me sex. I take you out to dinner, you give me sex. I give you a little bit of attention, you give me sex. A lot of relationships are just transactional. I take you out to dinner, you give me your company. And this plays into those women. I just recently had a comment. I know this is going to piss off the person who probably knows I'm talking about them. They say, Jonathan, I spent all this money on makeup and a dress and hair, getting my hair done for a date. I deserve that man to pay for that bill. Guess what? You're in a transactional environment if that is your mindset in the dating process. Does anyone here agree with me? If you agree with that statement, say, Jonathan, I agree with that. If you're watching the live stream or even a replay, because that's a transactional mindset. I'm here to invite you to start tapping into your soul, your real intuition. And this is where you have to be not critically. When you are aligned to who you are and what you want, then it's important to be discerning on who you choose. Okay. By the way, you see this link right here, jonathanasley.com/coaching. There's a link below. My whole coaching practice is teaching you discernment, how to get clarity on who's aligned with you. And more importantly, how to vet for that alignment. And even more important is, are they emotionally mature enough to be in relationship with you? See, it's one thing. See, character is an important facet for you to achieve, relationship success. And what I mean is establish the character of this person. And I'm going to give you an outline to prepare for this, because who you choose is going to make all the difference on who's going to be able to receive this knowledge by reading the various books I recommend. It's going to play a part in his capacity to be vulnerable. And when two vulnerable people who have chemistry enter into a relationship, they have the makings for a successful, healthy, happy relationship. Okay. So when it comes to choosing, one of the first things to recognize is, does his actions match his words? Okay. This all centers around character. Does his actions match his words? Now, there's always consistently, let me say, there's always exceptions. We're going to have situations come up where we might have to cancel at the last minute or something, but there's a consistency. Number two, they have a generous, kind, grateful spirit about them. I got to tell you, whether it's a man or woman, we are walking in, the dating realm is filled with resting bitch face. And this is men as well as women. We are talking about victim consciousness. We're talking about sourpuss attitudes towards their past relationships, their past marriage, their exes, whether it's a man or a woman. This ungrateful, this lack of generosity, this lack of kindness. Pay close attention to the way someone communicates. Do they have a grateful nature, a generous nature, a kind nature? Or do they have a fucking chip on their shoulder? And believe me, those people that have a chip in the shoulder are stuck in a constant loop. They're in a maze. They are just getting that pellet of victim consciousness. And when you join in on them, because you're thinking, wow, he checks all the boxes. He's tall, he's dark, he's handsome, he's got good money. He checks off all the boxes and he seems to like me. I'm going to accept all of this bad behavior because he will change. You know, we humans are fascinating creatures. I got to tell you, our capacity to take red flags and paint them green, and I am guilty of this myself. It's amazing how we humans will abandon our standards because someone likes us. Okay, let's keep going down this list because this is critically important. They communicate clearly without wanting to be right. If you start to observe controlling behavior, this is the time to be curious, because people who are stuck in righteousness oftentimes make bad partners later on down the road. One thing is you're going to observe people's, one thing about characters, they don't use people for their own needs. In other words, they're very mindful that their energy, people of strong character recognize if they are wounded, that's not the time to date, okay? Because they're just going to project their wounds on someone else. Not to say that we aren't all wounded, but if they're stuck in that maze, they don't put you in that maze with them because they're certainly aware enough to know that you would be joining their ride and that's not good for you, okay? Another piece, they have their act together. They have their act together. Look at ladies. You have to pay attention to where a man is in his life. Does the ground underneath him feel solid, or is he going through a contentious divorce? Does he have issues in his professional life? Does he have issues with his children? And I'm not talking about minor little issues, because we all have issues come up in our life. I'm talking perpetually in a state of chaos. Oh my God. And you ladies have this capacity to go, I'll just take you in and I'll save you and I'll rescue you from all of your plight, because then you'll choose me. By the way, I'm laughing and I'm hoping that if you've ever experienced this, you can laugh at yourself. Believe me, folks, I say this from personal experience. I look at all of the times I've taken red flags and I painted them green, and I laugh at my behavior because I'm just a human being. You're just a human being. We humans are just trying to do the best we can. And sometimes we screw up, and that's okay. That's okay. Life is a journey of experiences. It's not a destination. Couple other things. When I said they have their act together, they're not hooked up on drugs and alcohol and that sort of thing. That's a key place about having your act together. They've done some healing on their past relationships, and they're introspective in their own lives. Let me give you an example of introspection. I'm very well aware that I have anxiety when I travel. I'm not the best travel companion. I'm always worried about getting on the plane on time. I'm worried about connections. I'm worried about, if there's if we miss a flight or something happens, I'm heightened state of anxiety. I'm aware of this. Okay. Now I do my best to consciously work through it. And this is a childhood wound that has been transferred over from my father onto me. It's imprinted onto me. And I've done a much better job than I did 5 or 10 years ago, but I'm aware of it. That's an example of introspection, to know your own fears, your insecurities. And radical honesty is the capacity to be vulnerable, authentic, and transparent about them if it's material to a relationship. I think an important aspect of character is the capacity to be protective of your partner, but most importantly, empathetic of your partner. And I mean protective against your own capacity to let me say it this way. If you're aware you're not in a good place, men of character don't engage a woman into their life to join in on that. I said that earlier when I said they don't use people, but I'm piggybacking on this. They're protective. And empathetic isn't just they can feel their feelings. It's also that they care about the other person's feelings, because the most important facet of a relationship is trust. See, trust isn't just about fidelity. Trust is, do I have this other person's best interest at heart? You're putting the person or the relationship, you're putting the relationship on a pedestal and saying, and I mean this in a good way, is that there's a value to this relationship, and trust is a fundamental piece. So your best interests are my best interests. Folks, is this sinking in? Because I've got to tell you, we are swimming in a sea of dysfunctionality. Sadly, this is true. And as much as we'd like to pretend that, it doesn't exist, it does. And at the same time, we can go, oh my God, 8 out of 10 people are so dysfunctional. Well, guess what? You're in that group. I'm in that group. Okay. What we have to recognize is there's gems out there. There are gems out there in this pile of shit. There are lots of pearls, if you will. And my invitation for you is to become, instead of looking for a needle in the haystack, I want you to become the electromagnet to draw it into your life by making these subtle changes, not from a place of victim consciousness, from a place of empowerment, and recognize that, guess what? Ladies, you have the capacity to train men. Believe it or not, I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for the women in my life. Most men are absolutely trainable. I want you to gain the knowledge and then just lead by example. However, you have to choose better. And that's where I come in, and I can help you and support you in that. So why men deeply desire or need women to do this? Because most men don't do it. But guess what? Those men who deep down in their heart desire a committed relationship, they're going to welcome it. And you're going to find yourself with a great partner that you can co-create a relationship together, because you're communicating, you're establishing your needs right up front, you're having dialogue, you're having serious conversations sooner rather than later, which builds trust. And when you have a foundation of trust and friendship and that chemical spark, you can have what I call a juicy, delicious, healthy, happy relationship. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know. Post a comment below. I'd like to hear your thoughts. If you found value in this video, please hit that like button. Please share this video. Please subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of new videos or live streams like the one I'm doing today. All right, those who know my format, if you have a question, write the word question in the chat box and then post your question thereafter. Or you can purchase a super sticker, super chat. There's a little $sign in the chat box. All the monies from the super sticker, super chat goes to a scholarship fund in the name of my son, Connor Asley. That's a picture of him there, right there. Woody with his brother, Colin, who's Buzz Lightyear. In his honor, I donate to causes. Oh, he's my son who passed away 5 years ago. So in his honor, I donate to causes like the Hoffman Process and Insight Institute, just to name a few. And if you're watching the replay, could you hit that super thanks? And our goal is $50 tonight. Let's get $50. And just to give some props really quickly, it's so sweet that we just got $10 from Miss Cole. Thank you so much. So now we need $40 to get to our goal. Power of Chi wants to say, transactional relationships, don't you think you can change them because you can't turn a hoe into a house husband? You know, I think humans have the capacity to grow. I think every human has the capacity to grow. The problem is if you're too far aligned from each other, you're going to be, like if you're here and he's here, do you know that space in between, what that's called? It's called drama. Okay. If you're here and he's here, yeah, there's a capacity to grow. But when it's a huge disparity, don't plan on, he moves up here, you're still going to have lots of drama. That's just my perception anyway. Jubilee has a question. You say they are trainable, but then come the acquisition. I'm not sure what you mean by acquisition. But yes, there is a component of acquiring the right person. This is where discernment comes in. But Jonathan, I'm not getting men asking me out on dates. Well, let me tell you something. Listen, I'm on dating. I'm now back on the dating apps, okay? I can tell you that 999 out of every 1,000 profiles I've ever seen is pathetic. Well, let me reframe that. It's mediocre or pathetic. I can tell you, I've seen beautiful women with pathetic profiles. They have no idea how pathetic they are. Most of you have crappy photographs, poor quality, and you're wondering why you're getting crappy, poor quality guys. It's because you put crappy, poor quality effort out there. So in acquisition, if you're putting out mediocrity, you will get mediocrity back. That's not to say that you won't get the guys with sends you the dick pics and all that kind of stuff. But let me tell you something, quality presentation of yourself will get more quality results. But I'm telling you, each one of you watching this go, well, my profile is different. And then I'll go through your profile with you and I'll point out how shitty it is. And then you'll argue with me. You'll argue with me how I'm wrong and you're right because the subconscious wants to sabotage okay. Many of you, believe it or not, your subconscious, and I'm going to be doing a video on this in a few days, is sabotaging your love life. It's sabotaging your love life. Your negative beliefs, your limiting beliefs, your negative patterns, your perceptions, your delusions, all this stuff is sabotaging your love life. And you all think you're above it. Everybody thinks they're above it. It's always everybody else is crappy, but I'm above it. This is the delusion we humans live in. That's why I say 80% of people are dysfunctional. They're either users or dysfunctional because we don't realize that the real reality of what we put out there, because most of us are stuck in some sort of negative maze pattern, if you will. But I went off subject here. I hope I answered your question. Gigi says, Millionaire Match, it's raining great men. I know where they have been hiding. Check it out. It's worth $80 a month. Okay, Gigi, I'm in agreement. I have found over the years, I've met, my last relationship technically Match and Millionaire Match. And my previous relationship, we first saw each other on Millionaire Match, and then I met her on Match.com. Millionaire Match, it's $80 a month. Actually, if you purchase it through their website, I think it's $65 a month. I've met some amazing people through that site. It is raining great people. I just think the cost of it, the cost of it generate. Now, by the way, if you do join the site, there are premium members. Those are the people paid. They can speak to the non-members, okay? Premium members can speak to non-members. But yeah, I agree, Gigi. Really good men out there. Eva says, love how you deliver your great thumbs up message, especially with your creative humor. You know, it's funny. Okay, so I had a client, and I don't think I'm divulging any secret here. I had a brand new client join me for a coaching session today. And she was a little bit tentative because she knows how when I do my Q&A, by the way, if anyone wants to jump on the hot seat, I'm putting the link right there. And she was afraid I'm going to be kind of my bombastic self. When I'm coaching, believe it or not, I'm calm. I'm very lovable. I'm very caring. I'm very protective of my clients. My clients all have my personal cell phone number. The other day, it was weekend. I texted my client, how did the date go? And then we jumped on a phone call, even though it wasn't a regular coaching session. I treat all my clients like my little sister, or for some of them, I'm a father figure. For some of them, I'm a big uncle, if you will. Many of them, I think of them like little sisters. I'm very protective because I recognize that many women haven't had good male role models in their lives. And so to the extent that I might, and I'm only saying this as a maybe, I might be able to emulate that. I believe we all need a gigantic bear hug. And I end all my telephone calls just like I do with my videos, with a big, gigantic bear hug. All right. Jubilee has a question. Can you get some advice on training? Say that men are trainable, but then they turn around and tell you and accuse you of trying to change them. How are they trainable? Okay. Men who have some level of emotional maturity, who are not seeking a transactional relationship, are trainable. Men who are stuck in their silo of masculinity, they're stuck in their insecurities, they're stuck in their head, and they don't really, and they're in and they only care about a transactional relationship. Those men aren't trainable. I'm talking about those men who genuinely want a life partner. Those are the men who are trainable. Okay. And your job is to learn discernment to figure it out. Esther says, the Untethered Soul is amazing. I have read it many times. Folks, if there was such a thing as my Bible, this would be it. The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. This is a game changer. Now, this has nothing to do with dating a relationship. This is all about your mindset. But most importantly, learning how to talk to the roommate in your head. By the way, chapter 2. By the way, if you can read that, the voice inside your head is chapter 1. Chapter 2, your inner roommate. The first 4 chapters are beyond, brilliantly written. Now, let me just say something. If you purchase this book, only read 1 chapter at any sitting. It is way too much information. Even though it takes 15 minutes to read a chapter, don't read it like a novel. I want you to savor every word. And it's like, dude, have you ever talked to a nutritionalist? They will tell you when you eat your food, chew it 30 times or 40 times. Most people take 1 or 2 bites and they suck down their food. It's the same with reading. This is something where you have to literally read each word slowly to take it in. But it's like being at the ocean. You're amazed at how each sentence has. It engulfs you with so much brilliant wisdom. Again, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. I highly recommend that. Thank you for bringing that up, Esther. All right. Sandy says, yes, I'm listening. It's sinking in. Happy to hear that. Sylvia also wants to jump in. You know, we have sunk in to an all-time low when one of my LinkedIn connections just hit on me. When graciously called him on it, his profile disappeared. This guy is 20 years younger than me. You know what? I have a female friend. She met her boyfriend through LinkedIn. He hit on her. He openly admitted it. He hit on her, but she liked the way, but he did it in a cute, flirtatious, fun way. And they've been dating ever since. So, we can look at the glass half empty, or we can look at it glass half full. For every story, ladies, you tell me of some negative, I can tell you a corresponding story that's quite a bit different. That's just my perception anyway. All right, Dawn is in the house. How can I possibly have a relationship like the one you regularly describe, juicy, delicious, emotionally intimate, fulfilling, with a man who has a female best friend he calls his sis? His sister, even though they've hooked up about 2 decades ago, and her family is family to him as well. I would love an explanation this case happened. Well, first off, okay, folks, I would say I have a friendly relationship with my ex-spouse. I have a friendly relationship, not to the extent that we speak, quite a bit, but ever since our son passed away, our friendship has developed, and we even talked about some emotional crises we had in our life. Fast forward to my most significant relationship after my divorce. Her name is Sherry. We weren't meant to be together from a long term, but I look at her as my sister. We are dear friends with each other. We have lots of mutual friends. She is in a relationship with David. He's a great guy. We played golf together. I've been to their house. I've stayed over at the weekend. She owns a vineyard, so it's a beautiful home. And Marie, my previous relationship, she met her. We stayed at her house. And to this extent that Marie is in my life, we have a friendly relationship. We don't communicate that often just because we're not in the same logistical space. But I believe men who have good, healthy relationships with people in their lives make better partners. Now, if they have a desire to sleep with that partner, if it's an unhealthy relationship, I can see how that could be something to be concerned of. However, I will tell you, and I'm speaking from only personal experience, and maybe I'm the exception to the rule, and yet it does exist. I wouldn't be where I'm at today emotionally if it wasn't for that person I look up as my sister. I wouldn't be here today on so many different levels, and I will not abandon that relationship if somebody has an insecurity about that. Okay, that's just my share, Don. If it gives you any insight, I just invite you to look at if it's truly a non-sexual relationship between them. Be grateful he has someone quality in his life. That's my invitation for you. All right. Well, it looks like we have a Jonathan fan in the house. You got to give me your name.
Well, you call me J. Cole sometimes, but my name is Janelle, and my handle on my email is JM Nicole.
Okay. So should I be offended you type my name wrong?
Yeah.
I'm totally kidding. It happens all the time. So all right. So what's your question? Are you ready for the hot seat?
Okay. I was really excited about the hot seat. Am I supposed to be prepared with the question?
Yes, you should be prepared.
All right.
People are watching right now. I mean, come on. Time is of the essence. People will log off.
All right. I'm really, really excited to be here. And I honestly just wanted to get through, but I will come up with a question. Okay. Here's the thing. I've been watching you for several years now, on and off, and have listened to the books you recommend, some of them. Okay. I am in a new relationship, which is going really well.
How new? How new?
Oh, okay. So we met each other almost 3 years ago, and it's been on and off.
When did you have your first date?
January 2021.
Okay. When did you have your second date? Wait. All right. Well, the reason I'm being a little bit tongue in cheek here, are you in a relationship with them? Has the penis gotten go inside the vagina?
Okay. Right now, we're 4 months into being back on, and this time very, very good.
Okay.
So we both have daughters. We both have separate houses. We both have exes. So I'm super, super cautious of rushing into anything. So I love him and I love our time together, but I'm not in a rush to blend families, because I know it's a awkward thing being a step. And
so when are you going to do it? 10 years from now?
Maybe 5.
Okay, 5 years. So where you would actually combine the families together. Is that you're saying 5 years from now?
Yeah, and the reason I say that is because my girls are older, so they're almost college age, and his girls are younger. So I'm
Well, let
scared.
me ask you a different question. What's the issue in your relationship? Let's look at it from a different vantage point.
Well, no,
What
it.
do you, let me say it a different way.
All right.
What are you concerned about?
I'm concerned about disrupting my girls' world because it's already been disrupted 4 years ago when I got divorced. So I don't want their reality because we moved where we're at now, and it's just been.
So wait. So when you say disrupt,
Mhm.
by the way, if it feels like I'm interrupting you, I'm a kind of guy likes to get to the
No,
point.
listen, I am so excited to be talking to
Okay.
you.
So when you say disrupt, are they going to go to school on time or are they going to miss school?
No, I
You know,
mean like personal space at home. Not routine and stuff, but I like,
well, let me just say this. Emotionally speaking, it's a traumatic event to go through a divorce for any child. So don't shoot the messenger for saying this, but your children are already fucked up. Okay. Now, we're all fucked up though. Okay. So they just finally got on the train like the rest of us. Now, with that said, most children today are substantially familiar with divorce and the dynamics that go divorce. Let me give you an example. When I was 12 years old, I remember the kid, it was the McClendons. They had to move from their house because the parents went through the divorce. It was like a nuclear bomb went off in our neighborhood. It was that big of a deal.
it is a big deal.
When I told my kids, and this was 17 years ago, we're going through divorce. They're like, yeah, so what? Everybody else in my school's parents are divorced, you know? So this generation, they are so familiar with it. Now, what I invite you to do with respects to your children, if you haven't already done so, is to have deeper conversation about the emotional effects. Because I will say, I know you're concerned about him being in your life, but I know you're a good parent and you certainly want to be mindful of how this might have emotionally affected them. In addition, you can have a conversation with your daughters if they are older. How do you feel about me dating? Not that they get any right in your choices or, they don't have authority over you, but you can certainly check in with them to see how they feel about it, how they'd feel about if you spent time here. Because if you're waiting 5 years, here's the problem. How we build trust is through a variety of different experiences, which includes the integration of how they interact with the people that are important in our life. That's all part of the decision making. If you're waiting 5 years to reach that point, I'm not suggesting you, but just recognize that this is the time to see how a person really is in a variety of different circumstances. That's how you get to know someone.
So I guess my girls have met him and I've met his girls. We've all met each other.
Okay. Okay.
I know that I like him. But I've talked to one of my girls and mentioned something like, actually, she asked me, like, you like him or whatever. And so you guys going to move in together? And I was like, well, I don't know. And then so I said,
that was a great time to say, how would you feel about that?
Right. And
okay.
mentioned that, the three of us had been doing our own thing for a few years. And she kind of like cut me off and was like, yeah. And so it gave me the sense that she likes this to be a girls only. I don't know. And this is right. I guess this is right now. It could change in a couple of years. And I have.
What really matters most, let's rewind for a second, because the
right.
children aren't the biggest issue here. Or let me say, are the two of you co-creating a relationship together? Are you having conscious conversations? Have you had the dating vow conversation? Have you been because if you're a fan of mine, you know all my suggestions. They're not rules, they're merely suggestions.
I have the rules, I have the books.
Yeah. So so you have to ask yourself, is this building a conscious relationship or are we just simply in a transactional relationship? Now, given that you've known each other for years, this is a lot different than a stranger you met 4 months ago. But certainly within 4 months is, to to ascertain if this has some serious legs to it. And having deeper conversations and including him in these conversations that create, like, by the way, I talked about this in the most recent video. These are things called intimacy cards. You got them, okay? I wish I had an affiliate link. I'd like to make some money on it. But, you know, these are really great questions. I got to tell you, even sometimes I watch a TikTok video from someone and they put down some really great questions to build intimacy with a partner. Well, listen, I want to solve a problem.
Okay.
There's no problem here to solve. Just, you know, just train them.
All right. I'll do my best. I do have.
All right. What do I call you, Miss Cole?
You do say Cole, but I mean, you can call me Janelle if you want.
Janelle.
Yes.
My Jonathan's fan. Can I give you a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug? Wait, do I get one back?
Yes.
All right. Thanks for being on. If anyone else wants to be brave enough to be on, hit that link right there. Thanks, Janelle. I appreciate it. All right. The Magic Fire says, do you like the ballet? I just went this weekend. No, I'm not a fan of the ballet. I'm always impressed. I remember there was a movie with Mikhail Baryshnikov. This was probably in the 70s with Shirley MacLaine and, oh God, was it Audrey Hepburn? No, not Audrey Hepburn. Anne Bancroft, okay? And I remember that because it was about the ballet, and the woman, the female ballerina was like a very famous ballerina. I like that movie, but no, I'm not a big fan of the ballet. But by the way, I think it's cool that you went. I shouldn't say I'm not a fan of it. I don't think I've ever been to a ballet. Oh no, take that back. I did date a female dancer once, and she did ballet as well. Oh my God. Ballerinas, never mind. I won't want to go there because I went into my whole sexual mind there for a second. Seems like people are asking me personal questions. Power of Chi says, Jonathan, do you have a dating profile course or counseling? You know what? I have a product called Finding the Love Online, but it's outdated now. It literally, I did it like 8 to 10 years ago. So no, most of my work is working individually with people. But yes, I can review your profile, give you from the male's perspective. I'll tell you how shitty it is. And I'm saying this because you guys are all in delusion. Wait, let's go on to Bumble right now for fun and just open up just some random profile here. Okay, this is her first. Okay, I know I've got her name there. Look at that. She's not looking at her camera. Her hair looks like a mess. Okay. You know, her next picture is with a goat. I'm like, come on, I can barely tell what you look like. So we're going to swipe. This woman's got a decent profile. Okay, I'll give her credit for that. Oh, this woman's got a nice first picture. We'll give her credit for that. All right. I'm trying to find, I got to tell you sometimes, okay, so her first picture is her in a bathing suit with sunglasses. Okay, I get that we've got the body shot. And that was all, that's all she had. Let's go again. Let's do a few more. Oh, here's one. Look at, she's with a friend. Like, that's a no-no. You don't have pictures with you and your friends. I bet you she has sunglasses. Next one, it's a crappy photo. It's off to the side. I mean, like, oops. All right. See, now there's a quality photograph, okay? I'm not just saying because she's attractive, but it's a quality, crisp, clear photograph. These are examples. I'm just trying to give you examples of the crap I see out there. Looks like BB's in the house.
Hey.
Hey.
Hi.
Hi. And there you went. And there you're back.
I love your show. Love your show.
Is it a show?
Well, it's a show for me. I tell you, life is a showcase. So
thank you. Life is a cabaret.
Yes,
well,
it
I'm
is.
glad that I entertain along. I hope I'm informative as well.
You are. You're wonderful. I'm also a life coach. I'm a metaphysical life coach in Connecticut.
Okay.
And 90% of my clients are women. I get very few men that come in, but that's okay. But I just find that you are right on point when you talk about childhood wounding. It seems to be the norm lately when it comes to dysfunctional relationships all these women are having right now. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about the metaphysical side of it, as far as what's
Well, do you
out
have a
there.
question for me, BB?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a question for me?
Yes. My question is this: how do you feel about people that are not vaccinated versus vax? Have you found out that that's important to a lot of your clients? Is that something that comes up?
So what I've observed is with respects to that, and it's quite frankly, it's probably less important now than it was, say, in the height of the I believe 2021 is when the vaccination first came out. We're talking about COVID vaccination. I mean, there's vaccinations been out for a long time. So I believe for some people, it is a deal breaker. I think for some people it can be a deal breaker, whether it is that you don't want to get vaccinated or that you've been vaccinated. So I certainly have recognized for some people that can be a deal breaker. And I don't want to get into the whys, okay, because the why is irrelevant to me. Okay.
Yeah.
Today, I don't think it's as important. But I will say a person's ideology around a subject like vaccination or politics or religion will give you a sense of, do they have an open mind or a closed mind? So in my world, and I'm now going to speak personally, if someone is rigid about vaccinations, that's to me a closed mind. If someone is ambivalent, it's absolutely ambivalent to it, that's a ambivalent mind. So I pay attention to their attitude around the conversation, whether it's politics, whether it's religion, whether it's vaccines, and we could take this to a lot of different subjects. I look for me personally, I look for the difference between an open mind and a closed mind. When somebody has a rigid stance on something, now that doesn't mean that we can't have a right to stand for something that's important to us. It might be, harming animals, or it might be something else. But the minute you become imposing that right onto someone else, that perception, I believe that's a closed-minded way of looking at things. That's just my way of viewing it. So did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Yes, I just find that a lot of people are struggling with that still. And it seems to be a deal breaker. You can meet like a wonderful
Here's the
person.
thing, though. Here's the thing about deal breakers. For each individual, they have to make their own individual choices. And if they draw a line on the sand on something, they have every right to do that. Now, you said they are struggling. Okay. Well, so then you have to look at that, gives them an opportunity to look in the mirror and really observe, what are they struggling with?
Exactly.
If the projection is about the other person, well, like I'm not vaccinated and I will never date someone who's been vaccinated. And I've had women who've said that to me. That's shooting yourself in the foot, because we all got vaccinated as children. Most everybody had, I know for those of us who are baby boomers or Gen Xers, we were mandatory vaccinated. I remember actually going to the YMCA, and they had that gun that had that little bulb, that little glass tube that had all the vaccine in it, and it shot it in your arm. And I remember back in the day, it used to be that if you had a vaccination, you had like a little
had the ring,
dime-sized ring on your shoulder. So, coming back to my point, if you're so rigid that that's like a deal breaker for you, well, I don't want his semen in my body because it's got all these germs. Like, look, we all got shit in us. Okay. So, I mean, I just think you're shooting yourself in the foot if that's the way you view things. That's just my personal perception. Well, BB, thank you so much for being on the hot seat.
Thank you. Have a great time.
Thanks. Giving you a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug.
Yay.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thanks. Let's keep going here. By the way, if anyone else wants to jump on the hot seat, we can keep going tonight. This is fun for me. Faye says, and this was 20 minutes ago, Why would a guy contact your family if you avoid him for 2 days? What does it mean, but then ignores you for days? Why would a guy contact your family if you avoid him? Because he's probably triggered in that moment. He might be afraid that you could be in a ditch or hurt. That might be a fear he might be experiencing, or he might feeling the abandonment feeling. And then the minute you entered back into his life, he goes into his cave. As I said before, and I say it again, we humans are rather dysfunctional. What matters most is, what are you going to do about it? That's the real question I invite you for yourself. All right. Goddess Gina Michelle, are men on dating sites more likely to contact based on photos or the first paragraph summary? If they do read the summary, what should we be? Okay, so now, transactional men, it's only the photograph. I'd like to think I'm emotional grown up, but I might not be fully grown up. But I look at the photograph and the essay. So transactional men, it's the photograph. And emotionally grown-up men, it's the photograph and the essay. And trust me, the photograph is first. You could have written a stellar essay, but if I ain't attracted to you, ain't going to matter. So I hope I answered your question. Hey, Ty just said, I just finished your book. I learned a lot. Excited to start my own journey. By the way, folks, she is talking about my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, Spiritual Work. Book is listed below. Leafs, you're so sweet. You're Jonathan, you are an exception. Folks, I got to tell you, within my circle of friends, I'm scratching on the ant's belly of emotional maturity. I have men in my life that are far exceed my capacity here, and I get to learn by some really good role models in my life. So thank you. Jubilee says, I just read your book. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Nancy Drew. Oh my God, the Hardy Boys. Why would someone who years ago asked you to marry them, but you were in a different place at that time, seek you out to find you to talk again about how wonderful it would be if you'd been married? You know, it's interesting. I had a crush on the girl I took to prom for years. Even while I was married, I still had it was an unresolved, unrequited love. It was an unresolved, unrequited love. And so when I went through a divorce, it turns out that this person I had a crush on, and by the way, I was still married. I'm going to be candid with you. I was married and there was still this unresolved, unrequited love. Okay, but I didn't act on it. I mean, I'd like to think I'm mature enough not to. Well, maybe I'm not emotionally mature, but anyway, back then. And then it turns out she got married, had children, her husband passed, and so we connected. But I didn't have those feelings for her anymore. You know, I mean, it was nice to reconnect with her after my divorce, but I recognized that was a feeling I had in my teens that really didn't resonate within my life at this stage. So that's just giving you one example of Nancy Drew of what may be happening. But does it really matter? What matters most are, what are you going to do? That's what matters most. Ladies, you oftentimes focus on the guy, focus on yourself. Oh, the movie I was talking about with Anne Bancroft, Shirley MacLaine, Mikhail Baryshnikov, God, I butchered his name, is The Turning Point. Exactly. Hey, we've got a live body in the house. Oh, now a fan again.
Hey, it's me again.
You like being on camera, huh?
Apparently. Okay, so if you have time, I wanted to ask your personal opinion.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Sometimes I feel like I'm being unfair with my relationship requests. So I can say, like, this is what I want. And he'll say, that's fine.
Give me an example.
Yes. Thank you. So, for the next few years, it could be just, we'll see each other 3 times a week. We won't live together. How do you feel about that?
Well,
but I'm committed. I am committed.
see, okay, because he has small children, I recognize that they're and you guys are in kind of two different places in your lifestyle. Your girls are a little bit older. He's got smaller children. I recognize, huh?
I'm thank you for remembering me.
Oh, well, it was just 10 minutes ago. I mean, usually I'll forget, but believe me, as soon as we log off, I have no clue that I had this conversation because I'm just channeling in this moment. So, but you're welcome, or not, and you're welcome. So so with respects to the two of you potentially blending lives, now I recognize that might take some time. Okay. So when you're making it a request, it's just, you're making a request, and you said he seemed fine with it, but you started this conversation a little bit differently. You said, when I make a request and he's not good with it, or you feel uncomfortable with it. What did you say?
I'm at I guess, I don't know, at a crossroads between my past and like stating like exactly what I want, and then also, but I don't want to be unfair or mean or I don't know, unrealistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You still, so this is where, okay, let me tell you what I just heard. Wah, 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 wah. I'm like, you didn't say anything to me. So give me, by the way, ladies, I'm doing this intentionally at the expense of Miss Cole, Janelle, excuse me, to illustrate a point. If you want to be seen, heard, and understood, then articulate details. That's how we men operate.
All right, Jonathan.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's pretend you're my interest. And we've been talking for a while. However, my girls are almost off to college within a matter of years, which in small picture is a long time. Big picture is very short. So I don't want to jar their, I don't know, memory bank or whatever. I mean, it just,
So, by the way, you said I'm your interest. So tell me what you want to say.
All right, you got it. So, Jonathan, are you fine with, for the next few years, you and I date and see each other a few times a week? Obviously, our families all know each other, but we're not going to blend households until my girls are off to college. That's what it is.
That's the question. And I say yes. So what's your dilemma? Are you afraid he'll say no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if he did say no, what happens next?
That's the thing. I mean, that's a lot of either heartbreak or time wasted. That's.
Well, by the way, the penis has gone inside the vagina, right?
I'd rather not say.
Huh? Would it be better if I say you slept together? Does that make you feel better?
Okay.
All right. The two of you have slept together. Okay. You guys have fucked. Okay. All right. Oh my God. I know you ladies are going, but Jonathan, we make love with each other. Okay. So you guys are having regular sex together. Okay. I'm a big believer, if two people are having regular sex together, first and foremost, that they agree to monogamy and exclusivity.
Yes.
What that means, monogamy means we're not sleeping with other people. Exclusivity means we're not actively looking for somebody else. Then it becomes a conversation. So before two people engage in sex, I believe there should be clarity on relationship desires. What do you desire from a relationship? Okay. Having these conversations before there's sex, at least getting a baseline of where a person is at. So let me ask you, what did he say he wanted before you guys went into bed together?
Right. I feel like whatever I want, he'll do. But
that's not what I asked you. I asked you, what did he say when you asked him what he wants? What did he say?
Oh, okay. All right. I know.
By the way, Sandy says, I'm loving this because I'm giving you all a tutorial on communication.
Thank you, Sandy. Okay. I don't know exactly what he said, but I do feel like
That's wait. Okay, like the most important conversation people have is what do you want out of a relationship?
right.
I've written it down and taken notes.
He said to me, here's what he said to me a couple months back, based on our years, of knowing each other. He said, I love you and I want to have this relationship, but I don't want to have an empty relationship. So I want to know it's going somewhere, which I love that he said that. So he said something to the effect of like, after a while, I want us to be together, either marriage or whatever, like a committed thing. So we both want that eventually.
So can I tell you something? I'm just going to interrupt you. I once had, and I've mentioned this before because I'm going to school you for a moment. Okay. So be prepared. And I do this with love. Okay. I'm doing this with a lot of love, but I'm really doing it for everybody else that's watching. Okay. I had this woman come to me for coaching. She said, Jonathan, I need your advice. I've been in a relationship for 9 months and I want more commitment. I'm like, great. What does that look like for you? Well, Jonathan, I just want more commitment out of the relationship. I'm like, great. What does that look like for you? And she kept escalating her voice as if, and she said, you're not hearing me. Like as if I was dismissing her. Okay. Now, why am I bringing this point up? To understand a healthy relationship, I want you to envision it. I want you to literally grab a calendar. I wish I had one here. Grab a calendar and look at it over the course of a year.
Yeah.
What does it look like? See, I want people to visualize what you're doing 3 months from now. Are you going on a trip? Are you going here? Are you maybe shopping together? Do you go to Costco together? Do you go watch your kids' soccer games? Like literally map out what you're actually doing together. Okay. Commitment, ultimately, the challenge is until two people are married, every relationship technically is casual because you can bail at any time. You don't have to go through a kind of a legal process. You can bail at any time. So this is the dilemma I'm just pointing out, to me, it's an obvious thing. Okay. Now, the minute two people live together, it's not as easy to bail, but people can bail on that as well. But there's a consequence involved, So my point is, people say the word relationship. I'm really trying to encourage everyone to decide what that looks like for them. Like really at a granular level, not at the 40,000 foot, because it's like when you're flying at 40,000 foot, people look like ants. I'm talking about be at the fucking ground and have a sense of what it is you truly want. Because then that's your guide for how to navigate the relationship going forward.
I think I know my question.
Okay.
All right. If it was directed towards you. All right. So we're in our 40s.
Wait. Can I say something? Cupcake just said, yes, I want someone to go to, I actually used to tell my girlfriend, let's go to Costco together. I didn't like going by myself. It freaked me out.
I think that's the sweetest. I
a
daydream about going to a grocery store. Like if I would go by myself when I was married, I would like.
By the way, this wasn't your opportunity to talk about this. Get back to your question.
Yes. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. I'm just playing with you, right?
Well, yeah. I'm so excited to be on a call with you. Okay. My question is, I'm asking your personal opinion on this.
Okay.
I know people, watching, but okay. So if I were to say, yes, I want us to be in a relationship, period. Like we're each other's forever. However, I don't have a timetable on putting us under the same roof. Are you okay with that? Like, can we be okay with just?
Well, by the way, okay, let me interrupt you. I would say you're 4 months in. You don't have to stress about it. Okay, you're a year in. then you should have a serious conversation. I'm going to make it simple. You're 4 months in, you don't have to worry about it. 1 year in, start to think about it, have deeper conversations. Just recognize that if you haven't built the deep roots of trust, that it's going to end at some point. It just depends on how long you want to be together until it ends. I want you to think of a relationship like building a house. If you don't first build a awesome foundation, okay, then you can't make the sides, you can't make the roof, you can't put the furniture in, a relationship is like building a house. And if you haven't, and most people naively going, well, but if we love each other, we can figure out all the problems. No, it starts right from the very first date. Anyway, that's my 2 cents.
All right. I won't hijack your podcast.
You didn't hijack it. Everybody enjoyed you. Janelle, big hugs to you. Thank you for being a little bit brave, being big brave, and tolerating my brash personality. So
no, I don't know how much I listen to you during the day just for thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Big hugs. Sandy says, Jonathan, the celebrity. First off, I am not a celebrity. I am just a guy that is very opinionated on relationships. It's interesting. By the way, I'm not like this at home. I'm not funny. I'm funny with this because it's like when you're on mushrooms. Oh my God, I love doing mushrooms for this one reason. When you really understand, when you're on mushrooms, as an example, you understand kind of the meaning of life. Or really, when Connor passed away, I took the medicine to really get a sense of death, actually. And when you begin to let go of the fear of death, you start to observe the absurdity of human behavior, of little things, of big things. And it fascinates me. This is why I'm laughing, because I'm fascinated at human behavior, myself included. Folks, I process my shit all day long, but I laugh at myself all day long too. I have a great time exploring the nooks and crannies of human behavior, myself included. So sometimes, like with Janelle, I was playing with her a little bit. And certainly we went into a dive into the vaccination piece and whatnot with BB. I think when we can learn, I believe, particularly when you can celebrate your wins, but also celebrate your triggers. I mean, just celebrate those triggers. Like, gosh, I've got another fucking thing I've got to work on today. When you can celebrate your triggers, when you can celebrate your successes, when you make them equally as valuable into your life. This is just my observation. Along with a mindset of gratitude, I believe it's a pathway to inner peace. When we can put them on even keel. You see, most people are searching for the next joy, the next happiness, the next experience. They're always on searching. And what happens is there's a corresponding negative that will happen. That's polarity. When you can make them like this in value to yourself, this is just my own perception on this. That's where inner peace lies, in that space of not, you can celebrate joys, but celebrate the fucked up shit that you like. I mean, in other words, your insecurity, your fears, your stupid actions, your painting red flags green. And I'm laughing at myself. Believe me, this is just an invitation for everyone. And this really kind of is in sync with the book, The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. I invite everyone to check that out. There's a link below. I was normally log off after an hour, but we seem like we have a lively group. So Esther says, LOL, I did mushrooms too. I went to another universe. LOL, I think I stayed there because there was no evolved men there either. Oh, see, you made that beautiful, and then you had to kind of bash men. I know you have, I don't know if that's a smiley face, but folks, trust me, You all think you're evolved. You're not. You're not. You're not. You just think you are. And Cupcake even agrees with me. Cupcake, oh, I think you're agreeing with this statement. Most human behavior is ridiculous. It's healthy to find a funny or type of common ground to find mutual sync with others. So be it. Exactly. PH Joy. Let me see. The evolved men I ate mushrooms with did not touch me. I don't know what that means, but okay. By the way, does anyone have a personal question for me? I'm going to save, I'm going to keep going. Only if you guys have personal questions, I will divulge my inner world. Sandy says, I would like to try mushrooms. How do you go about this? How do you know you can trust the person that you're doing with? First off, it's best to be referred by someone. I believe it's best done in a ceremonial setting. There are websites actually out of Canada. Gosh, there's a website that a friend of mine hosts, but you can start connecting with people. I believe it's best to do in ceremony when it's curated when it's a controlled environment. Usually it's a referral that gets you in. So these are just a couple of the suggestions I would make. Oh my gosh, we have Zen Gal in the house. She's brave.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hit me with your best shot.
You are so funny tonight. I love that. Paint your red flags green. That is awesome.
Well, I was on a mushroom trip, and the woman I was sitting next to, I was talking about my breakup. And she goes, oh, you just painted the red flags green. I'm like, oh, fuck, you're right. By the way, I had plenty of red flags in my past relationship. I talked earlier about how dysfunctional I am with traveling. I wasn't a really good partner for someone that's all they cared about, traveling. I'm not the best person to travel with, but that's another conversation. Zen Gal, what do you got for me?
Well, do you think you'd ever date long distance again?
I've been processing that. Under certain circumstances, they would have to have an incredibly flexible lifestyle. And I mean a very flexible lifestyle, not a moderately flexible lifestyle. Number one, they'd have to have the financial resources to invest in that kind of relationship. So that would, in other words, they're financially stable enough that they're not dependent on the location that they live in for their financial survival. They would also have to be open to moving to California at some point. I do want to live outside of the country at some point in my life, but I still want to be close to my son, and I'm selfish that way. She'd have to be emotionally grown up. She'd have to have a connection with source. She'd have to want to be growth oriented. She'd want to perform ceremony with me. I mean, there's a lot of checks and boxes I'd have to go through if I was going to do long distance.
So do you have to be emotionally grown up to date you?
Well, you have to have a desire to the extent emotional grown up. So I have a friend of a friend who's in a relationship with someone who is an absolute emotional child. I mean, he basically is he's a parent in the relationship. So I don't want to be where I'm the parent in the relationship. I want someone who's an adult in the relationship and emotionally an adult. So yes, that would be kind of an important prerequisite.
Okay. I like people that are in touch with their inner child.
Well, you see, now that's different. That's not an emotional grown up is not just, in other words, you're an emotional grown up as an adult, but having a connection with your inner child is an important facet of, I think, the playful side of a relationship. So was your question directed to me personally?
You said to ask you some questions.
Oh, got it.
So I'm just out here at the ranch hanging out.
Well, thank you.
I just wanted to say hi.
Well, thank you, Zen Gal. Can I reach into the camera and give you a big, gigantic Jonathan Bear hug?
Sure. And I'll try
to
see the correct color in my flags.
Okay. By the way, it's okay. By the way, red flags merely means ask better questions. Deal
Asking
breakers are deal
what?
breakers, and
Oh
never
my
compromise
gosh.
on a deal breaker. Okay.
Yeah. And oh, one question I have is intuition. Talk about intuition. How
Great.
important is that?
So, intuition, I think this is a great question. So, most of us don't really trust our intuition. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. What I've observed about intuition is intuition always speaks in a calm voice.
Mm.
Whenever intuition is like, ah, like this, that's not intuition, that's fear talking. So, and when you're trying to rationalize that choice, okay, so here, like you look at a profile and you just go, that's not a fit for me. Like you don't need to rationalize the why. You don't need to rationalize the why. You could just simply go, that's not a fit for me. That could be intuition. But if then you go, well, they live far away and this or that, that could be fear. But that's also a self-sabotage. Or it could just be that they're not right for you either. But at the end of the day, intuition speaks in a calm voice. That's my perception anyway.
I like that.
All right. Well, listen, we got more questions coming up. Can I say goodbye to you? Big hugs.
Bye.
Bye now. Well, since I opened the door to personal questions, we've got a lot coming in. So Corny Cobb says, will Colin come on the show? You know, I've asked him. We're still kind of processing that. I thought about doing a Thanksgiving show, but he wasn't up for it. So we're working on him. Marianne has a question. Have you ever had to not explore a relationship because of deal breakers and then suffered from the what ifs with strong attraction? No, I don't think I've ever had that. I've never had a situation like that. I do believe I sometimes, like, I will arbitrarily reject people pretty quickly based on a gut, like that kind of that gut reaction. And mostly that gut reaction is based on alignment. I don't go down the what if, like a lot of people go, well, you just never know. Like, okay, so let me just tell you, for the first probably 7-8 years of dating after my divorce, I did the whole, you just never know. I would go out with women who were wrong. Like, for a variety of different reasons. Maybe there was mostly alignment in lifestyle, but I always did the, you just never know. Or I would look at someone's photograph, and 3 of the photographs were great, but one was so mediocre. They always look like the mediocre picture. I swear to God. So whenever you have to talk yourself into something, that's a no-no. I learned that the hard way. If I have to talk myself into something saying, you just never know, at the end, I always knew I was right the first time. It's talking yourself into shit. That's just been my observation anyway. So thanks, Marianne, for the question. What information in the first paragraph of dating profile catches a man's attention? So I'm going to pull up, bear with me a second. Here's a profile, a woman's profile. Okay, I want to read this to everyone. Goddess Gina. It says non-negotiable. I shared this before. An egocentric, narcissistic, never been married, no contact with his children, expecting women to fawn over him, jackass, wanting my time. That will attract an asshole. That will attract the asshole. You are literally saying, I'm inviting an asshole in my life who's going to pretend not to be an asshole, but trust me, he's an asshole. So everybody, are you interested in hearing what my profile says? Let's go to my profile. This would catch me if it was something similar. So my profile starts, this is Bumble, okay? For the past 5 years after losing my son, I've been on a deep exploration to find out who I really am beyond fear and ego, a journey of self-love, seeking a marriage-minded woman who wants to explore the depths of love. And then it goes on. Swipe right if personal development and spiritual practices are important to you, including plant-based journeys to explore deeper consciousness and expand to the divine. Then I go on to say, A non-negotiable must have a connection to source or spirit and a desire to heal from childhood wounds and adult traumas, basically to grow emotionally as a person or as a couple. And then lastly, a pro and con of dating me. You guys are going to love, here, I'll put it up on the screen. Pro and con of dating me. The pro, high emotional IQ and good relationship skills. The con, I like to process everything. That's probably, by the way, the right woman is going to read that and get it. Okay. The right woman's going to read that and get it. I'm intentionally trying to scare the wrong women away. So some of you go, oh, Jonathan, I could never be with you. You process everything. Great. We're not right for each other. So what's a good profile? I want you to think about it like telling a story. I want you to think about telling a story about who you are. So actually, let me read to you really quickly my Match.com profile. I'm going to read you a sentence from that. I think this might help illustrate a point, okay? So where's my profile? Bear with me, view. Okay, so basically the same as I read before. I said, I won't shut up about, I'm fascinated with human behavior, personal development, and the meaning of life, spirituality, especially self-love and self-worth. If you have a curious mind, we're a fit because I'm attracted to inquisitive women interested in expanding mutual consciousness. Let's just say that personal development and spirituality are my jam. Is it yours too? The way I describe myself as an outwardly looking alpha male, I'm 6'2", weigh 205 pounds. So I'm physically an alpha male with a big teddy bear heart. Maybe I say I'm a good guy with an edge, and yet I'm human with insecurities, or dare I say flaws. The thing that freaks me out most is condiments. I can't stand to be near ketchup, mustard, mayonnaise, and relish, but what I can do will hold your heart like a precious jewel as your lover and your heart protector. So did you hear how I told a story? I shared an insecurity about myself meant to be humorous, but at the same time, I incorporated something within that. Now, I'm speaking to a certain type of person. So first, know who you are, and then know your audience, who you want to attract. So when you're writing your profile, really get a sense of who you are and tell it as a story, kind of the way I described it here. I want you to think about it. Think about how I'm going to use the word you sell yourself, but I don't mean it that way. I'm just saying, how do you give the highlight reel? I just happen to learn to write after doing this for decades now. But if you need help, hire a company called eCyrano. eCyrano. It's owned by a man named Evan Mark Katz. Evan Mark, M-A-R-C, Katz, K-A-T-Z. Mention my name. And they can write your profile for you. Okay, so I hope that helps, Goddess. If a gal said I'm a childbearing, what would you say? I'm not interested in someone raising children. I'm past that point in my life. So that's my answer to that. All right, we have Joy in the house.
Okay. I'm here. Okay.
All right. Joy, we'll give you another second to log back on. Otherwise, we're going to probably log off soon. Bump. Jubilee says, may I copy your profile? Yes, you may. But then it's not yours. By the way, I do have a list of great online dating profiles that I've copied. You know what I would do? Go to Match.com, start reading women's profiles, and just cut and paste ones that you like. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. All right. Well, it looks like, Zen Gal says, thank you to Beach Lover. Great. You know what? I think this would be a great place to wrap up. We went a lot longer than normal. I'm going to go watch a documentary. Jonah Hill did a documentary about his therapist. I think it's called Stutz, Stutz, Stutz. It's on Netflix. And I've been watching it. It's fascinating. It's a great documentary. It's about Jonah Hill's therapist. Called Stutz, Stutz. I believe I pronounced it properly. Highly recommend checking it out. I'm really getting into that one. So, and Zen Gal says we should all go on a cruise. I think that would be fun. Sherry says thanks to everyone. Is it a full moon tonight? Really? Oh, I'll have to go outside and check it out. Let's see if there's anything else. Bump, 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 bump. Nancy Drew says, that was a good one, Jonathan. I like it. I process everything too. I get it. Well, with a name like Nancy Drew, you're a detective. So it's kind of built into your psyche, probably. Tara says, you are hilarious. Last night, it was about men willing to swim through alligators for sex. And tonight, it's how much you hate being around condiments. Tanya brings up the show. Yes, it's on Netflix called Stutz. And it's supposedly a good book. A lot of great tools. Oh, I didn't know there was a book. I'm going to have to order that book. Check that out. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. PH Joy says, I was trying to mute the YouTube. Yes, if you want to jump back on, you can jump back on. Okay, listen, I'm in a good mood tonight. I wish I had a cocktail right now. Oh, Janelle saying, I'm sorry, I misspelled your name. It's okay. And you did it again. Folks, Jay, look at right there. Jonathon. Zen Gal says mushrooms for dinner. I already actually had them for lunch. Little micro dosing. Okay, Lisa's in the house. Question, super successful, independent, doesn't entertain emotional needs, childhood traumas, makes me question my judgment. Intuition says he can, wait. I didn't know if that was a dating profile. Super successful, independent, doesn't entertain emotional needs, childhood trauma, makes me question my judgment. Intuition says be concerned with ego. I'm a little confused by where you're going, but just remember the ego is always trying to rationalize things, is my perception of one of the perceptions of ego. All right, Joy.
Oh, hello. Thanks for your patience. And I know I came late, but I think I kind of caught up. You were talking about transactional versus like soul connection and how to sort that out. Okay. Well, I'm trying to figure that out.
We all are.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your perspective. Okay. So I want to say thank you for answering the question about self-protection versus self-sabotage that I was asking. And you said intuition is a gentle voice. Maybe
I believe so. And again, this is my perception on this. Yeah.
So, I mean, okay. So if I'm kind of pushing for like an answer, then it's probably not intuition. It's probably like compulsion.
A friend of mine once gave me an example, and this is crude, but like you're on an airplane and all of a sudden you have this anxiety that the plane is going to crash, right? And you're just overwhelmed with anxiety. You think that's your intuition. Okay.
Right.
Well, that's most likely fear, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, but that's kind of we're using this, but you could say,
exactly. Yeah.
You could say, well, that's my intuition talking because it's screaming really loud,
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. No, okay, you're right.
But I don't believe that's intuition. I think that's fear.
I mean, I think that one clue I try to remind myself, I'm 45, it's like I'm learning, I'm figuring things out, but like I still don't trust everything. But I'm like defer, like give myself a minute to think about it. Of course I can procrastinate too though. But okay, well I guess I wanted to tell you, okay, I wrote a couple notes here. I wonder about the proportion of fans to hopeful lovers you have here showing up. But you're new to me. I haven't fallen in love with you yet. I think you're really refreshing.
By the way,
And
appreciating
really appreciate
someone isn't, by the way, and appreciating someone is a form of love. I get that.
Yes,
piece.
I
So
appreciate
a lot
you.
of people appreciate me.
I newly appreciate you. I just found you not that long ago, but clearly I've been like I need a little help. I mean, my dad was like, you don't understand men when I was a teenager. And I'm like, okay. And he never helped me learn how to understand man. He never tried. So I've been working on it. And I raised a son who's 22 now. And that gave me a lot of perspective on men.
Okay.
And if I hadn't done that, and if I wasn't 45, I wouldn't be able to even tolerate this 49-year-old that I'm kind of, I think I'm in love with him. I don't know. And this is very new, but anyway, but I want to say though, your attitude is like, I feel like I can relate with you in so many ways, just on a personal level from what you're thinking, and the way you look at things, but also you're exactly like that guy that's just like, well, let me just say, this is the truth. This is how we look at it. And so I thank you for sharing that with us.
Well, first off, I want to identify something. So a lot of times I make generalizations, okay, about male and female behavior. But let me be clear. I believe men and women are equally dysfunctional. And so most people are usually caught in the transactional relationship dynamic. Okay. So transactional relationships throughout centuries have had a hierarchy associated with them. You know, we've heard about the base instinct of men are provider protectors, women are nurturers. That's base caveman kind of instinct. And then there's the imprinting that happens in childhood. Boys are supposed to be a certain, or excuse me, there's the socialization. Boys are supposed to be a certain way. Girls are supposed to be a certain way. And then there's the biology piece, you know, testosterone versus estrogen. Okay. And a lot of people base a lot of dating advice on this dynamic, but it's all based on transactional relationships, because what's not discussed, and, you know, to the extent I appreciate John Gray's work, he talks about the biology of things, you know, whatnot. But what's not discussed is the imprinting that happens in childhood. You know, the love attachment styles that they experience, the imago they experience, the childhood wounds and traumas.
I just started learning about attachment styles and like avoidant attachment styles. Okay, keep going.
So that's
I'm an
not
interjector too. Keep going.
That's not contemplated in this dynamic. And then what's not contemplated in this dynamic is the emotional wounds of going through a divorce and multiple relationships in certain life. So the emotional traumas that play into that part. And what's not discussed really in these things is really someone's social economic space that they're in their lives, and whether or not they're introspective or not. So what happens is a lot of base advice is based on the caveman, the biology, and the socialization. Okay.
Well, like, I mean, I feel like, men want to prove that they're a good man based on kind of what they've been told or taught. I mean,
some men do. Some men do, but after divorce, a significant percentage of men is, look, I just want you for companionship, connection, and sex at my beck and call. So they're not in a state of being a true protector on any emotional level.
Okay. I think this situation, it's like kind of a little like mixed feelings about, like, I think there's a little bit of both that's kind of he's wrestling with in my personal thing that I'm witnessing.
Okay.
There's the caveman instinct, but also, we're in that pocket that you talked about with, like, after our kids have already, you know, we're not.
So let me just say this. We are all emotionally conflict in multiple parts of our person, our persona, our personality, our subconscious. So, and to give you an illustration of what this looks like, if you had a dream and that there were 20 people in the dream, each person is a representation of you in that dream. So it's just a different part of your persona, your personality, your belief systems all play a part. So most humans are rather conflicted because they haven't integrated the parts of who they are. And so this is where doubt comes in. This is where uncertainty comes in. This is
Okay.
where a guy can tell you they're madly in love with you and the next day ghost you. Okay, because they're all conflicted. This is why I said earlier in the broadcast how I laugh at human behavior, because it's kind of funny sitting. I think God just sits up on his chair, if there is such a thing as, I always think of God, universe, spirit, but they're sitting up.
I heard
God.
he has a sense of humor.
Yeah, he's just laughing at our stupidity.
At our expense
But
sometimes.
my point is when we can learn to do that for ourselves, then we're in on it with them.
Right.
So anyway,
so taking a looser grip to it all, I guess, is maybe the idea, maybe that you're trying to tell me. Yeah. Oh, and just something earlier too. I put it in the chat, but like, I felt like some of the women here, like, even though I was 20 minutes late, I just remember this older lady when I first, this was like 15 years ago at least. I just was like, hey, if you have any advice, like, because I could tell, I'm like, okay, why don't I ask an older woman, like, what's your advice for life? And she mentioned that she had, and I wasn't asking about love, I don't think, but she said that women, so she had been in love with somebody, like they'd been hanging out for a while, and it was like, she was like pining away for him for so long. And she still had been, at the time I had met her, she was still.
Hey, Joy, can I jump in?
Yeah, well.
Okay, because all I hear is wah, 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 wah.
Oh,
like,
God.
okay, I'm just trying to give an example.
That woman wasted a lot of time.
Stop. Okay. I want you to think of a question to ask me. I'm trying to teach everyone an illustration. I'm using you as guinea pig right now.
Okay, right.
Okay, so why I'm sharing this with you is when you're speaking to a man, okay?
I need a little help.
Go off, and by the way, men are just as bad at this as well. But you go off on all these fucking, you go down myriad of like all these different places, and we're like, I fell asleep already.
Okay, maybe this is part of why I came in here, because I kind of needed you to like call me out on that.
We're gonna practice something, okay?
Okay, let's practice.
Janelle had to deal with this. Now it's your turn. Okay,
I'm gonna.
I want you to think of a question.
Yeah, so I can.
And I'm going to keep interrupting you because until you do it right. Okay?
Oh my God. I'm not that quick to catch on. Yeah. Would you say it's true that women set the tone?
Okay. That's a great question. Okay. So historically speaking, women, it gives me a chance to pontificate because I love to be righteous and pontificate. I'm just being tongue in cheek.
We can't be the only ones pontificating. Okay. Go pontificate.
Okay. So historically speaking, women have been indoctrinated in that men are the leaders of the relationship. They do the asking out, they do the paying, they do the asking for marriage. So men are the leaders of relationship, and they've been indoctrinated in that literally throughout, infinitum, so to speak. Okay. So because of that indoctrination, women have oftentimes, not always, been subjective to the way a man wants to direct the relationship. Now, what's interesting, anyone who saw the movie My Big Fat Greek Wedding, she uses a phrase, and this was very similar to my mother and father growing up, that the man is the head of the relationship and the woman is the neck. Okay. So a woman actually has substantial power within herself if she decides to utilize it. So to the extent that there's tone, I said you set the tone. I certainly believe you set standards for yourself when you establish your standards with another human being, particularly in romantic relationship. That sets the tone. Okay. Now, a man should equally be setting his standards. This isn't singular to a vagina versus a penis. Okay. Each person should have their standards. And in a conscious relationship, I said a soul relationship earlier, but what I really meant the difference between a transactional relationship and a conscious relationship, which is really an intentional relationship of two people connecting both at a soul level and at a transactional level as well. When two conscious people get together, they both mutually set the tone because they're co-creating something together. I always liken it like two partners in a law firm. Okay. Now you might have one partner in a law firm that's great at getting they're the rainmaker. They get the leads. And the other person might be the admin person that runs the office. I'm thinking of the TV show LA Law. Okay. But in a good partnership, you take each person's strength and magnify their strengths for the success of the relationship. That's a co-creative process because people are going to have their strengths and they're going to have their weaknesses, and you try to balance them out. So to answer your question, coming back to now, I gave a more detailed illustration.
I mean, I'm so glad I asked
to teach here.
Thank you for asking me to ask the question, which I got way more out of it that way.
I believe both men and women should establish their standards. And then a boundary, the way Brene Brown talks about it, a boundary is simply what's okay and what's not okay for me.
Right. And everybody has to do that. Well, okay. No, I appreciate you challenging me. And I've been on only a couple times on a StreamYard, and I definitely was like too nervous to even communicate, but I wrote a couple notes and I appreciate
All right, let's hear your notes.
What's that?
Let's hear your notes.
Oh, should I just read them verbatim, or do you want to see like?
Well, I can't read it, so you better read them.
No, I think I started with thanks for asking the question. Is self-protective sabotage. Intuition is a gentle voice. I relate. Oh, I mean, I said I relate with you, but I barely understand men. So thank you for sharing your perspective. And then I think I already told you all this, but and then LOL. I wonder the proportion of fans to hopeful lovers you have, and then okay, transactional versus soul, and then women set the tone. Those are my notes. I did okay. You asked me to ask a question that was a challenge. That was a big challenge for me.
By the way, now I'm talking to every woman here. You guys, you ladies have a propensity to say in 10,000 words what we can only hear in 10 words. So if you want us to be on track, start with not the story, but start with the purpose of telling the story. So then when we can just keep going. We know the purpose, and we'll come and answer that. When you finish, we'll go, okay, now here's your answer.
Oh, you need to do a master class on this. I'm writing on my notepad now. Purpose. Start with the purpose of the story. Start with.
Here, read the book, I Hear You, The Surprisingly Simple Skills Behind Extraordinary Relationships, Michael Sorensen.
I have like a little notepad where I wrote, I hear you, but I don't really know how to do that very well, but yeah, thank you. Well, anyway, I mean.
Well, listen, I've got to go. I didn't realize.
Thank you for letting me
live stream.
Thanks for working with my technical difficulties. And I feel like that was really helpful for me, and probably more than.
All right. So then now your job is to send this video off to 10 of your girlfriends to watch.
I'm at least gonna, Oh, you know it.
20.
Oh, you know it.
Okay. All right. Can I send you off with a big, gigantic Mountain Bear hug?
Okay. I got you.
All right. Thanks, sweetheart.
I'm Hannah Bear. Actually, my middle name is Joy. Okay.
Joy Hannah Bear. Have a good one. Wow. That was fun. So we bumped that guy Jameson because he said something that I finally saw was kind of a dick comment. So we bumped him, everybody. I don't like people that like to listen. I'm all for stirring the pot. That's what I do on my channel. I stir the pot, but I'd like to think I do it in a fun, loving way. It seems like many of you appreciated tonight's live stream. I hope you got value out of this conversation. If you did, please do me a favor. Hit that like button right now. Please share this video. Please share this video with 10 or 15 or 20 of your friends, men or women. Also, hit that notification bell or subscribe if you're brand new to watching. I really do hope you got value out. If you did, please post a comment below. I do my best to read them all and share some love. And again, by the way, we got no donations by the way, if I did a great job tonight and you were on the hot seat, could you donate some money to the Connor Asley Scholarship Fund? I would love to give some money away tonight. So I'm going to stay on for a few minutes longer to see the love. There's a little $ in the chat box. Let's collect some money for Connor tonight. It would really mean a lot. Actually, during Thanksgiving, one of his dear friends sent me one of Connor's last voice messages that was ever recorded, and he sent it to me. And it was him being him, rather brash, I would say. But it was a special treat to listen to it on Thanksgiving Day. So I would love to donate some money to the Connor. I'd love you to donate some money, because I'd love to give some money to the Hoffman Process and Insight Institute. Our goal was $50. We need $40 more to get there. So I'm going to leave it open for just a few more seconds. I'd love it if you donate, or hit that super thanks if you've gotten this far watching the replay. All right, folks. I think that'll do it tonight. I hope you really did find value out of tonight. This was a lot of fun. This was when usually I struggle getting to the 50-minute to the hour mark. Today was really fun. We had a very lively group. Hey, Sun Gal just donated $5 to the Connor Asley. Laura just donated $10 to the Connor. Oh, thank you so much, Laura. I really appreciate that. Oh, I love the love. Elizabeth says, I don't care if he pays the bills or not. I want to hear heart-to-heart connection. I have done a lot of work. Maybe he is not able to be. I don't know what that is, but thank you for sharing. Magic Entertainer says good night and thank you. We really appreciate, or you didn't say thank you, but you said good night. I really appreciate it. Joy, the link is the little $sign in the chat box. That's where the link is. Just hit that little $sign. Cupcake Betty says, wow, that's so awesome. You got a voice message from Connor. Loved for that. I do. I'm so grateful. Yes, I'm very blessed. All right. Sherry says goodnight. So we're all going to say goodnight right now. Cupcake did say, great job this evening. What a great bunch of gals. This was fun too. All right, folks. Oh, we got a $20 super sticker. Yay. We hit our goal tonight. Yay. I'm so excited. Thank you for the love, for all your love. Truly grateful. Really appreciate it. Big hugs to you all. Take care. Bye now. Bye.